Hell yeah, dog.
I'm Breeze. This is the MMA BREEZ show. Today we got Richie Savage. He's breaking into the MMA scene. He just had his first fight, came out with the W. How does it feel?
Feels good, man. It's just kind of regular to me right now. I'm not really I wrestled on a big stage at Rutgers and pretty much my whole career. So fighting in these like regional promotions is kind of just going through these motions and developing. I think it gets more surreal every day, but I think once I accomplish more of my goals, it'll feel really special, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I know a lot of wrestlers of your caliber have come out and they just hit the ground running, man. They hit the ground running. They go to the big scene. You know, we've seen a lot of them go right to Bellator, and some float, some swim, some sink. But for you, like you said, TitanFC, it's a great promotion. It's got some great competition. But like you said, man, your wrestling caliber it's different. You're a world champion. You wrestled here with Rutgers. You wrestled some of on the same team as some of the best guys, but also against some of the best competition. How has that translated into MMA, and has it brought any challenges along with its benefits?
Yeah, I think so, man. Like I said, the exciting factor, I wasn't too nervous for my fight, but once you get in the cage, it's a completely different feeling, you know? That's number one. And number two is I was obviously a little lacking in the striking department. Uh, I'm a pretty good athlete, so I've been picking it up fairly easy, but I fought my first fight, a guy that's been training Muay Thai and striking, had over 20 fights, amateur, professional, and Muay Thai. So I mean, like I'm a little behind in the striking, being that I only struck for 8 months, but I'm really starting to pick it up now. I think over the past like 2 months after that fight, I really started to understand the distance, the timing, the feinting, the footwork, and it's just like every day, brick by
Yeah.
brick. So I think while I do have a extreme advantage, I know that I have to continuously work on my development in these weaker areas of my game.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I had this debate with somebody I know about footwork, and he wasn't much of a grappler. I wrestled growing up and practiced jujitsu and roll around here in North Carolina, but I was arguing with him about footwork because he said that there's no footwork from wrestling that will translate or help you, or no concepts that you can take over to
My
striking.
entire footwork in MMA is from wrestling, and I'm telling you, next time you see me fight, you're gonna see a completely different animal. Not only have I changed the mechanics of my hands, which is 20% of it, but it's the footwork. If you watch the best guys in the world that are elite strikers like Israel Adesanya, Conor McGregor, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, like the pure strikers, you see the footwork on those guys, and that's how they make you move. The way that I've been really able to understand it was like my attacks with my kicks, my teeps, my jabs, they're going to make you move your head and they're going to make you move your hands to open up different shots. But the whole time I'm dancing with you and trying to lead this dance, and it's kind of an ebb and a flow. And when I want to move your feet to get your head into a certain position or your body into a certain position, I'm gonna have to use my feet. I'm gonna have to use those feints. Everyone thinks this is your feint, right? This is your feint. Yeah, that works, but it's a dance to me, and it's like a little game inside of a game. And once you understand that you could lead the dance for 70% of the time, the other guy could lead the dance for 30% of the time. And it's the very tactical of when you attack, when you defend, and how you get your rhythm back. And I correlate that to wrestling. And it's not something that I really was amazing at in wrestling. I was a little bit of a brawler. And I felt like if I went back to wrestling now with my understanding of footwork in MMA is I'd be 10 times better. So it's kind of exciting. I'm thinking actually about wrestling a little bit again. So
All right, man. I mean, that's a great thing to talk about too. Is grappling in general is reaching new heights of popularity. You got Chael Stone and Submission Underground, who's number one. All these things. Gordon Ryan's made a great splash, and him matching up with Pat Downey, another Northeast guy. What do you take about that? And does that excite you getting in on one of these events? On a who's number one or Submission Underground?
for sure. So I trained at Hensel Grace Academy on and off for about 3 years with John. So and Gordon and Gary. So that's where I really started to get my feet wet with the jiu-jitsu. I think combat sports as a whole is increasing. I'm like super philosophical, and I think that as our world becomes more uncivilized and you see all this political fucked up shit, the more that people have to be dormant with this coronavirus that just happened, the more people have that natural like angst inside them and they need to see violence and they need to see combat. And I think that accompanied with great promotion and great entertainers has really skyrocketed the sports to new heights. And it's the most exciting time in the world to be a combat sports athlete. Essentially the most MMA and then boxing, and then it trickles down into wrestling and jiu-jitsu, you know?
Right, right. And like you said, they're all elevating right now. But it's a funny thing, man, with the pandemic, like you talk about all that pent up energy. I mean, my buddy came over last night. He said the weirdest shit to come out of this pandemic was celebrity boxing. It's just like you said, people want to see it. People want to see it. They got this energy, you know, and it's happening. So I think just in general, combat, like you said, is popularizing. There's a lot of great platforms. But one thing you said when we were talking about setting up this interview was you had a vision of the UFC. That's the promotion that you saw for your future at some point. Now,
Well, that's the only promotion that I'm gonna fight for, except for Titan, you know?
okay,
I signed a 4-fight deal with Titan. I'm gonna do my 4 fights, do maybe 1 or 2 fights, go for the title right after my fourth win, and maybe do 1 or 2 fights with them and go straight to the UFC. You know, my vision in this game is not to make $100,000 or $50,000 signing to Bellator when I'm 0-0. You know what I mean? My vision is to become the best in the world, and the byproduct of that is going to be me getting rich and me having money. So the money is kind of a byproduct of my ultimate goal, which is becoming the baddest motherfucker in the world, man, you know?
right on. I talk about that same point with so many fighters about the money, the status, the accolades, and it's cool to see that that's where you want to head. You want to head to greatness, not necessarily the PFL $1 million check or the Bellator guys that are splashing checks on people. One of my buddies just got offered a Bellator contract, but it was like one of those things where they were setting him up with like a 2-fight contract. The first fight was like a huge prospect. It was kind of like a tie contract thing, but you know, it's a funny thing when you get these contracts and when money's coming at you and when you're young and you know, and like you have a vision that you have to protect, and it seems like you have a strategy and that's where you want to go. So
For sure. I have a strategy and I have a team, man. My best friend moved down to Miami with me. He's my coach, he's my business partner, and he really believed in me. We started this vision a year and a half ago, kind of got all our affairs in order. I stopped wrestling and started fighting, and we said, how are we going to attack this? I signed with the best management team in the game, Paradigm, Modiatar, Tim Simpson, Carl Reed. And then we're like, okay, now what's next? Okay, we're gonna get you fights. We're not gonna do amateur. We're gonna go straight to pro, and we're gonna get you in a great developmental league, TitanFC with Les Mahone. And it's like I signed a 4-fight contract with this dude and this promotion, and he's done nothing but take care of me. And I feel not only am I grateful, but I feel lucky and I feel blessed, man. And I believe in destiny, and it just feels like everything's coming together and I'm meeting the right people and the right people are taking care of you. You know, I could only do so much. I could only train. I could only promote myself. I could only brand myself. I could only talk so much. You know, it takes a village to truly become something great. And I've really built that behind me with the people around me.
well, first of all, kudos to you, your work ethic, and doing things diligently. Because I get a hold of people directly, and sometimes I get, you know, hey, talk to my manager. And like you said, you have great management, but here you are on your own accord, doing some promotion, getting out there, talking to some people, getting your face out there. So the work ethic is there. I think that comes from the championship status and the level of discipline you've had with wrestling. But you know, as far as translating to MMA, that I gotta imagine as a lifelong wrestler and still very young in the sport, you know, and reaching the heights you have reached, you know, I gotta imagine that was a hard decision to decide, you know, hey, here's MMA, something that obviously you have great potential, like any wrestler of your caliber, but still there's a risk there. There's a risk going to something unfamiliar, and there's something to be said about that. How did you make that decision, and was it a hard one?
So I actually made a decision when I was 13 years old, which is funny. Before the UFC was, before you would eat, you know, I got paid more wrestling my first year out of college than these dudes were getting paid to fight in the UFC at that time, you know. And I was 13, and I would watch UFC with my pops, and my pops came up, and his whole family, they were brawlers. They'd be fighting on the streets and whatnot, and he always taught me defend myself, whatever. I was always an aggressive kid. And then I moved down to Toms River, New Jersey. And my first couple weeks of school, Frankie Edgar beat BJ Penn. We watched in the auditorium. They had a huge parade for him, and I told my dad, "This is what I want to do, man." So then I started studying it and watching it, but I kind of knew I had to develop in wrestling, and I was really good at it. Fast forward to when I made the world team of the U23 world team for USA. I went out to the worlds, and I got a really bad herniation in a couple of my discs, and I still had one. I became world champion, and then I came back, and it was straight into the Division I grind at Rutgers, straight into the Big Ten season. So every week wrestling Penn State, Vincenzo Joseph, Illinois, Isaiah Martinez, Iowa, Alex Marinelli, Nebraska, Isaiah White. Those are like, the best guys coming up. I had to wrestle them back to back to back with a neck injury. And it kind of just really weighed on me to the point that after my college career ended, I had to take about 3-4 months off, got back into wrestling, and then signed to Lehigh University. And I'm like, man, do I want to fight or do I want to wrestle? And I say, I'm already like fourth, fifth on the US Olympic ladder. I'm really young. Let me give this a shot. And I ended up hurting my neck really bad. I had a decent season. I won the Dave Schultz Memorial, which is the only tournament I went to, qualified for the World Team Trials. And then maybe 3-4 months for the world team trials, I hurt my neck to the point to where I could only practice once a week. I couldn't run. I couldn't do anything. And it was a really hard time for me, man. And it really showed me a lot about myself. I ended up taking fourth in the world team trials with no proper training. And I said, hey, do I want to do this for this Olympic cycle this next year and go at it half-ass? Or do I want to take the time off and pursue what I really want to do? Is my ultimate goal to become a UFC world champion. And I took a year and a half off. I saved all my money that I made from wrestling, from my bonuses, from my salary, which is nothing crazy, but we get paid decent. And I saved it up, and I lived off it for a year and a half at my grandma's house. And I was down pretty bad, but it showed me a lot about who I am as a person. It actually humbled me. I got very close to God and a higher power, and I changed my whole life, man. I operate from a place of gratefulness, a place of abundance, a place of opportunity and thankfulness. And once I did that, I told my buddy Jerry, I said, hey man, we got to find a way to get to a gym and figure out where we want to go. And previous to this, we visited all the other gyms, AKA, ATT, Team Alpha Male, Henzo Gracie, TriStar. And we're like, but I think Miami's the place from a 360 scope. So he got his things in order. 4 months later, I was finally healed. And I said, let's go get this dream. And that was November of 2020. And then it's all been uphill from here.
Well, thank you for sharing that, man. And I'm glad to see you turning that tough time around and making something crazy happen. Because what you're doing right now, it's nothing short of that, man. You're making a hell of a run. You got a lot of eyes on you. You're taking the steps the way that you should be to get to where you want to be personally. But why Miami? You said you got that 360 view. You're a Northeast lad. It's a little bit different down there in Miami. What attracted you there?
So one of my good friends, Asim Zaidi, who's actually my head coach, he came down here. He's from here, and he would pay me while I was injured, actually, to come down and train his fighters. He didn't even officially open up a gym yet. He told me he was opening up a gym. He would fly me out, every couple of months, and oh, come for a week. I'd stay for a week, 2 weeks. And then I'd say, oh, come for a week. I'd stay for a month. And then Henry Cejudo was down here doing a training camp with Gordon Ryan, JT Torres, Kenan Duarte. Stayed for another 2 weeks. And I'm like, man, I'm just spending all my time here. And I think the GOATSHED Academy is really going to come up. And it's a place where not only I can make my name, but I could help build something really special. And I think that our team one day is going to be a world-renowned gym. We're kind of already on our way, and I really believed in the vision, and that's why I chose the gym. And then down here, I mean, I'm a God-fearing American. I like to carry guns. I like to not pay a lot of taxes, and I think the microeconomy down here is insane, man. There's a lot of money down here, and I'm a businessman as well.
You
So
are. You have a clothing company now. My buddy buys a lot off of your stuff. What inspired that? Well, you're a businessman, but you got so much going on, man. How do you manage?
I have a good team. I have two guys who work for me, and then a business partner, and then a bunch of different freelancers who do our printing, do our sublimation, run a lot of projects for us. I actually run a venture firm where we run all of our different projects with all of our different resources and assets. So it's not just a clothing company. I actually have a holding company that manages like all different projects. We're looking to do things like open up a pop-up restaurant at a food truck in the next 6 to 8 months with a renowned chef down in Miami. We're partnering with different fighters to release lines for them. We're partnering with a biking crew called One Way. They're like super viral. We're creating a brands around them, and we do a lot of merchandising. So it is a lot, but during my fight camp, I focus, and I really work like 16 hours a day. So
Yeah, I bet you do. Speaking of your fight camp there in GOATSHED, I just saw them upload a video. If not today, it must have been yesterday, but it was Logan Paul was out there training and he was ripping a
he was
bag.
at practice last night.
Okay, how are you? I see. It seems like y'all are backing him up, but you're also a guy that's reached high statuses of your own craft, so you understand there's levels to each sport. Obviously, he's got his own advantages, but you're with him. You're with him there in the gym. What do you think about this matchup? And are you behind him on this one?
I mean, I think Logan can shock the world. Obviously, Floyd Mayweather is, man, top 3 boxer in the world. Some people think he's the best boxer to ever live. So it's going to be hard for Logan, but I mean, this world's a fucking crazy place. I think we're living in the Matrix, to be honest.
I hear
so,
you.
so you never fucking know what's gonna happen in this life, you know?
Oh, man, I've with everything that's happened in the last 2 years, no, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me. It would be fun to see, though. It would be fun to see. And then you got his
I
brother.
mean, like honestly, I do. If I was a betting man, I don't bet, but obviously, I think Floyd has a supreme advantage, but I wouldn't count Logan out of it.
Yeah, I mean, everybody seems to think Jake's the more sound boxer. Obviously, Logan was way further along in the wrestling world, but you see him, you see his hands. Do you think that that's
He's
kind of just
legit.
he's legit?
He's legit.
Okay.
I think he's actually out of every single YouTube boxer, I think Logan is the best one for sure.
Okay. So if you guys got in it just hands messing around, he'd give you good work.
For sure, man. He's a little bit bigger than me. I haven't gotten in the ring with him. I was supposed to spar with him right after my fight, but I had to get like some PRP and stuff. So I haven't got a chance to roll with him, but I want to. But yeah, he looks good. I would definitely go in there having to be like, hey man, I gotta protect myself, you know?
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. That's exciting to get some insight, man. So, and he looks like he's in very good shape. He's training with you guys. Do you ever see Jake Paul come around there?
No, I've never met Jake.
Okay, never seen him. That's interesting. It's interesting that they're doing so much alike, but also it seems like sometimes they have different circles. You know what I mean?
I think Logan is like down to earth and he's a solid guy, you know?
I get the same vibe. Never met him, but there's definitely a difference between him and his brother.
For sure.
Word. Well, I'm excited for that matchup. We got some other cool ones coming around the corner, man. I want to get your insight. It's always fun to get a pick from a pro. But what do you think about Israel Adesanya's matchup and the other with Marvin Vettori, and then you also have Fig versus Moreno and Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards? I'd like to get your insight on those matchups.
I think Leon should beat Nick is what I thought for forever, but Nick, I think Nick really has gotten his shit together, and I think he's really looking to make a very serious comeback. I think Leon is going to touch him up on the feet, but if Nick gets his hands on him, it's going to be game over.
And then as far as the wrestling of Vettori, coming from a wrestling expert, man, do you think him versus Israel is going to be a problem for Israel? Or
No, I don't think Israel's gonna have a problem because a lot of people don't understand in MMA and wrestling is there's levels to wrestling. You could have wrestled Division III, you could have been a state placer in Massachusetts versus in California and New Jersey. You could have been an NHSA freshman All-American versus a Fargo All-American.
Mm-hmm.
If you're and it also depends on your style. You know, I feel like Marvin is like, he's a hugger and he tries to smother you, and there's not much technique there. And I think a tall guy like Izzy, even me personally, when I wrestle tall guys in the gym that are strikers that aren't even that suck at wrestling, it's a little bit more meticulous and difficult to take them down. And I think as long as Izzy doesn't engage in jiu-jitsu with him and kind of creates frames and does what he normally does and doesn't try and show new skills, I think that he's gonna wax Vittori for sure.
Cool.
And then I got Figueiredo all day.
Okay. I'm just excited to watch that one, man. That one's gonna be sweet. But yeah, man. I mean, as far as something I want to talk about as far as training partners go and getting good work in, bring it back to wrestling. You know, you in your high school senior year state finals went against another stud in Anthony Ashnault, you know, and it didn't go your way, but something I really admire about you is you guys later on became teammates. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of guys hold that really deep and dear, like, you know, take it personal, ruin my dreams. Like, but you both went on to accomplish a lot of great things and you went on to become teammates. I mean, we saw that with David Taylor and Kyle Dake, and a lot of great matchups come out of competitors and people that are both on the same level. What do you make of that? And do you think that's something wrestling's lacking and more people should come together and work out with each other?
You know, I think Anthony's one of my greatest friends, and we used to train even before that we wrestled at the States. And I think that a lot of people take this game a little bit too seriously. You know, we're all here just, in my opinion, the way I live my life is I'm here to serve others, and I'm here to help people, and I'm here to, you know, change people's lives and help people grow. That's the ultimate reason why I feel like I'm fighting. Everyone has a reason why they fight. My reason is so I can show people that they can truly become what they want to become. And the key to that is by helping other people. And I think that when it comes to this fighting game, like you see Jake Paul and Tyron, they get all mad and shit. I understand you're getting mad, but this is a sport. And like, if you take things personally, you ain't gonna end up in a good fucking place. You know, this is a game, learn how to play it and move on. Any opportunity I have to get better, training with other people, I'm going to take it. And I look for those opportunities and I create those opportunities for myself.
Awesome, man. Good stuff. I'm thinking that's the way to go. But, you know, there is a little bit to be said about some in the media shit talking. You know, I mean, look at a lot of guys that have gotten popularity off that, and that's translated into money. As your career
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing.
Do you see yourself as your career evolves kind of taking on a little bit of action like that?
Well, I like the shit talk and I like to get serious, you know. I just think that there's two separate elements to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a gamemanship to it, you know. Mm-hmm. If someone really wants to talk shit to me, like, you know, I'm gonna have to keep the gangster with them.
Yeah.
If they really want to go to some personal shit, I'm gonna go to some personal motherfucking shit.
All
but
right.
besides that, it's a gamemanship, man. And I respect the shit talk because you better believe you're gonna beat me. You better believe you're gonna kill me. You better see weakness inside me if you're stepping in the ring with me, because I see weakness inside of you.
Right on. And do you think that there's a line to be crossed with this stuff? There's been a lot of controversy with that. Like, hey, okay, it's one thing to talk shit, but
for sure.
Know, or do you think, hey, fuck it, fair play, it's mental welfare?
I think it's fair play as long as you're ready to keep it gangster.
Okay.
You know, there's a line to cross, and if you stay on this side, it's cool. But if you cross that line, you better be ready to defend yourself and whatever you got. You know,
you might get a rematch on site if that's how.
Exactly. Then it's fuck the cage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's whenever I see you, brother.
Exactly.
No, cool, man. It's good. But you know, as on the wrestling scene, a lot of guys have come up. I've watched personally come from high school through college to the UFC to Bellator. What makes you want to be so patient compared to guys like Bubba Jenkins, Caldwell, Pico that just went right into something like Bellator 0-0? Is it just that you have tunnel vision on the UFC, or is it just a networking thing?
I can tell you exactly why. And Two of the people you mentioned, I actually look up to, as in Bubba Jenkins. I have a friendship with him, and Darren Caldwell, I have a small friendship with him. Aaron Pico, I don't really know too much. But I don't agree with the Bellator route. I don't agree with the PFL route. I don't. I think that's making decision to go Division 2 and to go Division 3. And I say this before I'm signed anywhere.
Yeah.
This could be clipped one day when I sign the Bellator. If I ever sign to Bellator or PFL, which I'm telling you right now, I'm not gonna, and I really don't give a fuck. But you want to go Division 2, Division 3, and not get promoted and not get branded and not have these opportunities to be in a press conference and talk shit and be in a press conference and be on the news and be on the cover of Madison Square Garden. I'm sorry, nobody watches those fucking events. Why would you choose to do that? And like, I respect those men to the fucking T, and I think they're gangsters and I think they can fight, but I just think that it was an ill-informed decision, thinking that they were going to take some kind of route that's just not tangible, you know? I'm looking to execute on what I want to do and what I know I'm going to do. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I created a plan and I'm executing it, and I'm going to go straight to the top, straight to the UFC, executing it. And I
Awesome.
truly believe that.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I'm talking about guys that you admire, look up to, whatever. I mean, I know Frankie Edgar had a role in your life at some point. I mean, how big of a role was Frankie's wrestling, MMA fighting? Did that play on you? And who was your biggest mentor in wrestling and then now in MMA?
It's gonna sound crazy, man, but like, I think I've been my best mentor always. I think that there's something special inside of me, and other people like in my journey helped me realize that. But I'm a little bit of a lone wolf, you know. Like, the one person I always keep around is my business partner, my best friend Gerasimos. He's my confidant, and he can really help me through anything. And besides that, man, like, here today, gone tomorrow. I take the lessons that you learned me, and I'm grateful for it. Like, Frankie's taught me a lot. He's been a great influence in my life. He showed me that someone from Toms River, New Jersey, can make it to UFC stardom. You know, I also went to junior college with John Jones, Cain Velasquez, Kobe Covington, Carrington Banks, Philip
Pat Downey, right? Didn't Pat Downey go to the same one?
Pat Downey was on my team. And I've always been in places of greatness, and these people have always influenced me, you know. But at the end of the day, I step in that cage and it's me. So I truly believe I've always been my greatest mentor. But speaking on that, another great mentor that really has affected my life, who actually changed my life, has been Luke Moffett, who was my coach at Iowa Central. And it just so happens to be he was all those guys as coach as well: John Jones, Cain Velasquez, Kobe Covington, Carrington Banks, Philip Hawes, Nate Smith, who just fought in the Contender Series. He was their mentor too. So like, and that's where their lives really made a pivot. So if I had to choose one specific coach or one specific teacher in my life, it would definitely be Luke Moffett at Iowa Central Community College.
Right on, man. Cool stuff. And being a Northeast guy, you said you you got into fights. You were told to defend yourself, and then bringing it back to you talking about your debut and how it's different when you get into the cage. How was it different from getting into a street fight? The nerves or anything like that? And was there a difference?
Yeah, because GSP talks about this a little bit. He just talked about it in Joe Rogan. Everyone's like, no fear. I'm not scared to fight. I'm not scared to do this. That's a lie, because when you step in that cage, you never know what's going to happen. Right. I'm better than everybody that I fight, in my opinion. And I truly believe that. But that doesn't mean that I can't accidentally leave my hand here for half of a second and get head kicked or punched in the face and knocked the fuck out in front of my entire family, in front of my 5 friends. I'm signed to a huge management team. I'm not even in the UFC yet. I have all this hype built around me. My entire legacy, anyone's entire legacy, can be done like in the blink of an eye. And those are emotions that you have to deal with, and you have to accept those emotions and move forward from them. And the way I do that is I kind of look at it as a business arrangement, and it kind of takes the emotions out of it for me. I look at it as I sign a contract. I'm looking to do something very special with my career. I'm looking to prove that I'm a world-class athlete. And when it comes time to it, all that chatter in my head, it disappears, and and I'm in that flow state and I'm ready to go. So I deal with the same range of emotions as a guy fighting amateur, uh, a kid in high school wrestling trying to make the state tournament that George St. Pierre and John Jones face. It's all very relative,
Oh,
is what I believe. It's just how you deal with those emotions is how you're going to perform.
I agree, man. When you value something like your career, your record, your legacy, or just the opinion of family and friends watching, it's definitely something that each person has their own way of dealing with, and it's relative for sure, for sure. Now, just getting into the knick-knack stuff of your vision, man. What do you see? What do you see you accomplishing in Titan FC? You said you wanted to get the belt. And then what do you see your run in the UFC looking like?
So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fight again in August. Uh, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna try and create a finish, and then I'm gonna take about 6 months off. Go train in different camps. I might go down to Arizona to train with Randy Steinke. Maybe try and get in contact with Henry Cejudo. And then I want to go to Las Vegas and train with like Sugar Hill and Tyson's camp. I'm in the process of like trying to set that up so I can get really sharp with my boxing.
Mhm.
And then I'll look to fight again 2 times over the next, 6 to 9 months, and then work towards a Titan FC title.
Right
And then
on.
after I get a title, I'm gonna go straight to the UFC, and I kind of got to see where my development is at. I get so much better every day. I've only been training MMA full time for 8 months, and week by week, we just see huge developments. But you never know when you're gonna hit your peaks, your valleys, and your plateaus. So just being diligent about bout selection, being diligent about when the bout is, being diligent about timing, and always being ready. You could be on 4 weeks notice, could be on 8 weeks notice. The career development's a funny thing, but 4 to 5 years, I see myself as an undefeated UFC champion.
Cool, man. That's what I was gonna ask, because it's like, you have the strategy, but it's like, how are you gonna get there? Are you gonna stay active? Are you gonna talk shit? And it seems like, you're not gonna take shit, but you're looking to stay active and
Listen, I'm
go
gonna
in
have
there.
so much fucking money from besides UFC that I'm gonna be getting paid 10 and 10, 12 and 12, showing up fucking Gucci down with a rollie. That's what I'm gonna
Look,
do.
all
And
right,
no
cool.
one's gonna be able to say shit.
And are you going to be able to stay focused now when the limelight comes? The big show's there. That the temptations are there. Stardom's kicking off. How are you going to handle all of that? While keeping that goal in mind.
We gotta get there first.
Not even worried about it.
Nah, we gotta get there first.
Cool, man. Right on. So real quick, last thing I want to touch on before I cut you loose is we talked on Instagram quickly about how you were training with Tyson and those guys with that picture you uploaded.
And I was training with Tyson. I did a private with Kronk Sugar Hill, J Rock, WBC champ Ahmed, 20-1 in Tyson's camp. Showtime Show Porter was there. Floyd Mayweather Sr. was there, and it was a private gym. And I just had a connection and got really lucky. He came in one day, and Tyson loved me, man. He he asked me if I was a professional boxer. I was like, dude, I've been training for 8 months. He was like,
Wow.
are you serious? And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, he went over to his coach. It was just after his workout. I got to watch his workout for an hour first. And then he told Sugar Hill to watch me. And he came back over. He's like, Richie, I want you to go in the ring with Sugar Hill. And it was just me, Sugar Hill, and J Rock. I got like a 2 hour private and learned so much, man, and really connected with those guys. That's why I'm gonna try and reconnect and learn some boxing underneath them, because I do want to do boxing fights. I also want to be a
Okay.
boxer. I love combat sports as a whole. I love wrestling. I love jujitsu. Kind of. I love jujitsu, not so much, but I do like it a lot. I like fighting and I like boxing, and I kind of see myself taking that route where I'm fighting and doing UFC stuff, but also seeing other opportunities, boxing on a Showtime, Triller, something like that.
Okay. Cool,
That's a
man.
goal for me personally as
Yeah.
well.
No, no doubt. Never close the door, man. We love it. So
Exactly.
I'll be tuning into whatever the heck you're competing in. So thank you for your time today, man. Hopefully we can do it again soon. I'll be tuning in, watching you in Titan FC. And maybe shortly before or after the next one, we can do it again.
Hell yeah, brother. I appreciate your time.